Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to talk about English slang and idiom. The first one is we are going to talk about slang. The definition of slang: slang is vocabulary that is used between people who belong to the same social group and who know each other well. So slang is very informal language. It can offend people if it's used about other people or outside a group of people who know each other well. So we usually use slang in speaking rather than writing. Slang normally refers to particular words and meanings, but can include longer expressions and idioms. Slang is non-standard use of words in language. These non-standard words might use among the conversation. And then Munro mentions that slang is included in non-standard language as the sort of words and expressions which anyone might use in conversation or a letter, but which is not used in a speech or formal essay. There are four identifying criteria for slang according to Leiter. And the first one is its presence will markedly lower. And then the second, its use implies the user's of familiarity either with the referent or with that less status for full or less responsible class of people who have such familiarity and use the term. And the third is it is used a taboo term in ordinary to discourse with persons of higher social status or greater responsibility. And then the last one is it is used in place of the well-known conventional synonym, especially in order to protect the user from the discomfort caused by the conventional item or to protect the user from the discomfort or annoyance of further elaboration. And then Dazzle mentions the reason of slang usage in sheer high spirits as an exercise in humor, to be different, to be picturesque, to be startling, to escape from cliches and long-windedness, to enrich the language, to give solidity and concreteness to the abstract and the idealistic, to reduce solemnity, pain, tragedy, to put oneself in tune with one's company, to induce friendliness or intimacy, to show that one belongs to a certain school, trade, or profession, intellectual set, or social class, in sort to be in the fashion or to prove that someone else is not. To be secret, like it's not understood by those around one. And then next, the characteristic of slang. Abadi explains some characteristics of slang. There are creativity, means that slang language has cleverness, imagination, productivity, and talent. And then flippant means that slang language has irrelevant word of the context. And then third, fresh. Fresh means that slang language has familiar words, different words, and up-to-date words. For example, dime means small amount of money. And then the last one is onomatopoeic, means that slang language has imitation words. And then the next one is classifications of slang. Patridge classified slang into some categories. First one is Cockney slang. For example, Cockney slang that commonly used in daily conversation by educated and middle-class people, like see the breeze and taste the sun, means an expression of summer enjoyment to escape from London to an open common. And then for another example, I in sling means crushed or defeat. And then the second one is public house slang. Public house group or words are phrase makes up for the smallness of the recorded vocabulary by the nature of the subject. It's genial, cherry, materialistic, but not gross nor cynical. For example, round means like the corner around the corner means a drink. And then the third is workman's slang. Workman's slang has a link with the public house slang, so it is very closely allied to tradesman's slang and also considered to people's activity in working. For example, screw up means without money. And then the fourth is tradesman's slang. Tradesman slang, some of the words are related to origin slang, and the users are the worker too, but the difference is the tradesman slang considers for typical tailors, butchers, chemists, and builders. And then five, slang in art. It emerges in 17th century. And then six, slang in publicity. So it is often used in commerce, but much of modern commerce depends on publicity. Films need the catchy phrase or rims that can impress the public. For example, sunlight means shop or glaxo baby means a plump and healthy child. And then seven, society slang. In society, there arise a kind of special vocabulary which is constantly changing with changing fashion. For example, Cyrano means a huge nose, and Rothschild means a very rich man. And eight, slang of commerce. Used in trade, and the words are closely related to the trade or commerce. And then the next one is slang in public school and university. The user of this slang is student, and in public house as in board and private schools. For example, rocks mean rotor or humbug. The slang that used in university is considerably different with public school slang. When boys leave school and go to university, they tend to drop the old slang and to mold themselves to the slang of the university. For example, wine means a wine party, lecture means a lecture. And then 10, slang in theater. Like, for example, is toga play means a play on a classical theme. And then 11, medicine slang is from the very nature of the case more interesting to laymen than is law slang. Like, for example, dope means an anesthetic to dope or to give an anesthetic to. And then drinks mean medicine. And then 12, slang in church. For example, the 3 B's means bright, brave, and brotherly, like a protest against the sumerific nature of so many church services. And the last one is soldiers' slang. It's slang terms that come from around the army community that is commonly used by the soldiers' slang. And the last one, we are going to talk about idiom. An idiom, or also called idiomatic expression, is an expression, word, or phrase that has a figurative meaning, conventionally understood by native speakers. So this meaning is different from the literal meaning of the idiom's individual elements. In other words, idioms doesn't mean exactly what the words say. They have, however, a hidden meaning. So an idiom is a phrase whose meaning cannot be determined by the literal definition of the phrase itself, but refers instead to a figurative meaning that is known only through common use. Jacqueline Ambrose explains that idioms share cultural and historical information and broadens people's understanding and manipulation of language. So in someone's native language, idioms may be a natural part of speaking. An idiom is not really considered to be a set in a language. They are more in one's culture. Idioms are mostly for just one language. So in some cases, for example, when an idiom is translated into another language, the meaning of the idiom is changed or does not make any sense as it once did in another language. So idioms are probably the hardest thing for a person to learn in the process of learning a new language. This is because most people grow up using idioms as if their true meanings actually make sense. And for example, the first one is a blessing in disguise, which means something good that is not recognized at first. And then the second, a chip on your shoulder, which means meaning being upset or something that happened in the past. So I think that's all for today. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.